Go.
Multiple takes.
Great. Take one. There'll only be a take one, Michael.
Okay, absolutely.
Just like in competition.
We better get it right. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Get it right, or just be good at it.
Yeah.
Michael Hixon is with us today. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Diving Discussions with Sean McCarthy. This evening featuring Olympian Michael Hixon, who competed tonight in the men's 3-meter synchro event. He achieved a silver medal this evening. It's not the only silver medal he's received this week. He also performed in the individual event earlier in Rostock, Germany, earning for Team USA another silver medal. Michael, how are you this evening?
I'm great.
How's your week going?
It's going really well. Really enjoying Rostock.
Eating and sleeping well?
Eating and sleeping well. Getting over the jet lag still.
Any plans tonight? You're flying out tomorrow.
Had a pretty great kebab just now. So as any good evening starts with a great kebab. We'll see where it goes.
Thank you for your time tonight. There's a couple questions that came out of the office we want to throw your way. This is also a good way for you to get used to the interviewing process as you go to more high-profile events. There's some rather high-profile events this year, 2020. I understand there's an Olympics this year.
I've also heard such rumors.
And I assume there's probably a trial prior to that
Yeah.
event. So, being here at this Grand Prix, do you have another event coming up soon?
Yep. Next week, I'll be diving in Montreal at the World Series.
And what's the significance of that? What kind of divers are at the World Series event?
It's similar to the Grand Prix, but to qualify, you have to be top 8 individually or top 6 synchro at World Championships the previous summer.
Okay, so a more elite level than even a Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's really good.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And best wishes in your conquest. What is this particular event, the 2 medals you walk away with here for Team USA and yourself, what does this mean to you heading into the 2020 season?
It's great. For us, it was all about coming here and being competitive, competing well, getting more comfortable when the whistle blows. And I think both individually and synchro, we did that. Certainly the results here don't necessarily dictate what happens the rest of the year, but for us to use this as a prerequisite step to better performances down the road, that's the key. So for us, I think we did a good job.
Absolutely. Did a great job. Your team's proud of you, and thanks for setting a great pace for some of the younger ones who are on this trip this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
How will this experience help prepare you for, say, the trials and the Olympic Games? Similar question, but this particular launching pad in late February, where do you now measure your readiness level for, and how would this help influence the trials and the preparation for the games?
Yeah, definitely not as ready now as I'll want to be in June and August. But I mean, for me, it's sort of that process you need to be focused on. And anytime you get in a competition, it's just practice. The more you compete, the better you can get at it, as long as you take something away from it. So getting out there, competing, getting that under our belt, I think was the biggest thing, especially internationally, because it's a little bit different competing internationally than domestically.
I'm a big supporter of the takeaways. 1 or 2 maybe be enough, 5, 10 maybe better.
Yeah.
But usually the greatest moments to learn are the worst moments, when something was missed, not when something was hit. And those are the greatest opportunities to pick up on something and to write down a good takeaway.
Absolutely.
And you said you got to be ready to go when the whistle blows, like this interview. No rehearsal.
Yeah.
No crew.
Right. There was no actual whistle, so I had to do a mental whistle just to write the mind.
And you said whistle blows. FINA has like an electronic whistle. They're not blowing anything.
That's true.
That could throw you off.
That could throw you off.
So Mike, I've got a couple questions for you that our coaching staff put together. And we'll start here. Does your attitude towards Canadian judges offend your current girlfriend?
I think my attitude towards all judges is very appropriate. I would say that is difficult. I'll have to ask her, I guess, now that you say that. I have no clever response for you, but she usually finds something to be upset about, so that could be the case.
Did you know that your current girlfriend is from Canada?
I had no idea. Probably be good to know that.
Well, this is just breaking news then. This is something that'll probably...
You don't think she'll want me to live there at some point?
I couldn't guess.
I wouldn't want that. Can you imagine that?
When it comes to Canadians, I never assume.
That's a good rule.
Michael, thank you. Another question here. What's the Fahrenheit equivalent of it being twice as cold as 0 degrees Celsius?
Well, 0 degrees Celsius, and isn't that, what is it, 0 and negative 40?
Okay, so there's a
Sorry.
0, there's a 32 Fahrenheit, which equals 0 Celsius.
Right.
And then I think there's a negative 270 Kelvin in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's part of this equation.
That's absolute zero.
Can I hear the question one more time?
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll go over that question because I think if we go into Kelvin, I don't think we're ready to talk about Kelvin because we don't even know if there's atomic particle movement at negative 270.
I've never even met Calvin, so.
So let's go back to the question, and it's true, it's one of those thinkers. What is the Fahrenheit equivalent of it being twice as cold as 0 degrees Celsius, which is the freezing temperature?
Right. Well, I guess it would be 32 then.
Siri's answering.
Thank you,
question.
Siri. Well, obviously 2 times 0 is 0. And so whatever the Fahrenheit equivalent of 0 degrees Celsius is, which you just told me is 32. So we'll run with that.
I think we're going to go with that. And that was something
Fine
our
answer.
coaches bounced that off each other. We asked each other on some occasion,
Yeah.
is there such thing as twice as cold
Mm.
of anything? But we know that the math on zeros it comes back to the zero. So we're going to accept that answer, Michael. It's probably the best one any of us came up with.
I was going to say, did any of the coaches get it right? You know. I
Did
can
we
look
get
at
it
you.
right?
I can look at you.
There's not much we got right this week, Mike, but we don't advertise that.
It's probably best.
As a staff, we just barely squeak by. I've got a last question here, Mike, and then your job will be to rate the interview, judge the interview, if you will, from a 0 to 10.
Mm.
0 to 10. We got a call from an angry Zac Efron. And he's told us, you haven't stayed in touch with him or his family since 2016 Olympics. Care to comment, Michael?
You know, the guy probably just has too many inbox messages. I've been trying to slide in there all the time, but you know, no response. Yeah. I don't message his family. I think that's a little too much, you know. That's when restraining orders start coming into play.
I got you. So that being the case, we have to send a response to Zac. That's simply rude on his behalf to have gotten some
Yeah.
reach out efforts from our Michael Hixon.
They call this clickbait, I think. Yeah.
I can't imagine what that word means,
Yeah,
but
no idea.
those two words next to each other kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Hey,
this
thank you
evening.
for having me.
If you'd be kind enough for the record to judge the interview anywhere from a 0 to 10, it goes on my permanent FINA record. Don't worry about any guilt or don't be nervous in rating the interview. But thank you so much for sharing your time with us this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. I don't know what to give you. I'm thinking somewhere in the great range, obviously. I did hear, I know I wasn't supposed to, I did hear your question of Andrew. Can another person's interview factor into my score?
This is an unscripted.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes to that. That was one of the funniest interview
So
questions
if you're
I've ever heard.
backstage
Yeah.
and you hear what's going on stage, you're simply a beneficiary of that experience.
Yeah, it's a 9.5, I would say.
I'm
Yeah.
going to say that's my highest score so far. There was an 11.5 out there, but I wasn't actually being judged. That interviewee was judging herself,
Oh, really?
and she walked away with a clean 11.5, and she said it's been a long day, so I won't answer anyone, and that's the number I give myself. Thank you.
Jeez. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, good for Cassidy.
We're gonna. We didn't interview Cassidy yet. We'll see what she says. And thanks so much, Michael.
Hey, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, very much so. Yes, this has been Diving Discussions with Sean McCarthy.